So one thing I have been noticing a bit recently is it seems like a lot of Forza Horizon 6 fans really do seem to be genuinely excited again. And one thing I was noticing is I'd probably say the map is a big part of that and obviously some of the new cars, but I feel like part of that might actually be on the side of Forza Horizon 6 feeling like more deliberate in a way of things that players have been looking for. And then same part is though when you look at the reveal alongside what didn't land in like the past few Horizon games that players probably looked at or they have talked about and stuff, it really starts to feel like less of a coincidence. And honestly, Forza Horizon 6 feels almost like a course correction. It's something I've been kind of seeing a good amount, guys, and I did briefly want to go over some of that, but also compare, like, Forza Horizon 5 and all that stuff and 4 and different things like that to see, how things mildly went off track and all that stuff. But the thing is, though, like, a lot of players have been looking for a few things in Forza Horizon 5 that obviously were not in the game at all. One of which was this season's. A lot of players wanted that. A lot of players have been asking for houses as well. A lot of people are like, yo, no, it'd be dope if we can have a house and stuff, but also being able to have a garage so you can display your cars and stuff like that is something many players have been wanting, and it's funny because a lot of people want this in racing games in general, so I feel like that is a big step in the right direction for Forza. Like, a lot of people really want that, dude. I already know for a fact later on in the game and stuff like that, once people are farther, they have more houses, they have more cars and stuff like that. People are bounce around to your friends' houses and check out their vehicles. Like, people are going to spend hours doing that, probably have videos on that stuff where people are like, all right, let's check out this dude's cars or whatever. Let's see how they're customized. Like, that will definitely be a thing. And I feel like that's a great step in the right direction, dude. Something a lot of players wanted. And it's kind of funny because you would probably not consider like a garage or something like that to have that kind of impact, but it kind of does, dude. It feels more personal, which I think is pretty important. And to me, though, it also seems like they're adding on to the entire social thing that a lot of people have also been asking for. So it kind of shows me that like small details like the houses or even something like the car meets, for example, is Playground Games acknowledging that, oh, we actually need to look at what players actually wanted and stuff, because a lot of people love that in Forza Horizon 3, right? Now we will finally have car meets back, and they're adding even more details into it that will make it even more of like a social aspect. I think it's pretty dope, and in ways I feel like a lot of players might end up viewing this as, oh, they're finally hearing the feedback of what a lot of other and older like Forza fans finally wanted, even newer fans that are on Forza Horizon 5 or even 4 that did not have something like the car meets or, updating the houses. So I feel like that really does show that they are actually going, okay, well, maybe we should add this stuff because a lot of people really like it. Speaking of that, though, the other part is I really do feel like the progression part of this game, guys, it really does feel like they actually made it more structured, and it wasn't just some random thing that you had in like 4 or 5. I think that is a huge thing. It's not going to have nearly as much instant gratification or any of that stuff, at least from what we have seen so far, with how the overall system is designed, which don't worry, I'm not going to go in and break that down and stuff, as I'm sure you guys probably saw the progression video. I talked about that a little bit, but I gotta admit though, I really do think it's actually awesome that they kind of almost like deliberately went, okay, you know what? We need to do this, this, and this to the progression, bro, because everybody, they can clearly see what the internet and what people are saying about it, right? Pretty much nobody liked how it was structured. And now it seems like they're actually going, okay, let's look at this feedback. Let's really kind of line this up a little bit. Look at the long-term feedback of what people said about the older games. And let's try to structure this game deliberately in a better way. And it kind of feels like they really are doing that. And I think that will definitely get the game on a better track. But also not copying 4 and 5 on how random it was and stuff in there and different things on, like, people weren't the biggest fans of how it was structured. That I feel like is a huge step forward. Speaking of the entire course correction thing, now this is probably one of the biggest and most talked about topics since Forza Horizon 5, and that is obviously the map. We all do know right now Forza Horizon 5's map, guys. Now, I'm probably in a small group of saying that I do enjoy the map. Is it perfect? No. Is everyone going to like the map? Probably not. But I do admit I did enjoy things about the map, even though I can definitely see where players are coming from with it. I can also see how a lot of like Forza Horizon 5's map and stuff probably didn't resonate with a lot of players, or in ways it might have felt forgettable and stuff like that. And I think a lot of players wanted, different designs in the map, seasons and all that stuff, and things to really set the map apart, like a huge city, mountains, urban areas, and kind of like a mix of everything, hilly areas, open stuff. And I do feel like the direction of Forza Horizon 6 really does feel almost like they were like, all right, bro, We see what y'all are saying. They kind of go, okay, let's see what everyone was saying about these maps and seeing what they were saying about 5 and stuff like that, seeing what people loved about FH4. And they're like, all right, let's do this, this, and this. And surely enough from that gameplay reveal, I really do feel like it actually went, okay, well, we heard the feedback. This is what everybody is looking for. And I really do feel like it might actually be the best map they've ever done, dude, because I think they were looking at feedback from what a lot of people have been saying over the course of the last few years and stuff like that, which obviously the game has been in development a bit, but they were probably working on it back then. We all do know a lot of people were talking about the Forza Horizon 5 map early on and stuff like that, so they're probably taking those cues, taking the cues from FH4 and went, okay, we got to do this, this, and this. Let's think about the feedback of the players. We do know a lot more people like, PlayStation will be in the game. They probably may not be the biggest fan of this and this and this. And then surely enough, these same things came out about the map. So I really do feel like, guys, this will definitely be a good direction for Forza Horizon 6. And I think the map will probably be one of the biggest things that attract a lot of players to it. And you also know what's kind of funny about a lot of this. I have been going back, looking at the reveal, thinking about a lot of stuff from 3 and 4, also 5, seeing what people are saying about this. I really do feel like there are so many signals from the gameplay trailer of Forza Horizon 6 that actually shows, and now I don't know how people will take this, but I do feel like it shows that Playground has been listening to a lot of things. Even simple things like the car sounds, body kits, and all that, guys. That all falls into there as things people really have been wanting. Like, I feel like a lot of the design choices in this game actually feel deliberate. Like, they were like, okay, we need to fix the progression. We got to get this map right. We got to add the seasons back. Everybody loved that in Forza Horizon 4. To be honest, I was actually a huge fan of that as well. It was very cool how the whole map changed. And now we get to experience that with something like Japan, which is one of the crazy... It actually is the craziest map they have ever done. And they also know that. Obviously, it's the biggest city and all that stuff. All of that will be in there, which I think will make a lot of fans probably cautiously optimistic in a way. And the thing is, though, I'm not saying that every single thing we are seeing will be the most perfect thing ever, but I do think when looking at, like, how they are structuring this and what they're actually doing with it, I feel like a lot of players are like, okay, so we can actually be optimistic about this now or that. Like, I like the way they're changing this or doing that, and that's a huge way to actually look at the direction of this game and the way they did end up taking it, because it really does feel like they were looking back to some of the things that people weren't the biggest fans of, or they can clearly see that there was like a flaw here or something or an issue in this, and they really did acknowledge what like didn't land and just things that did not work. Honestly, dude, I think that is super important and also really cool, but it makes me excited to see what they do end up showing with this game. Now, the biggest thing I do also want to say, though, is I'm not saying all of these things alone will prove anything, but I do feel like, guys, with everything being together, it kind of looks like they really did take a pattern to it. You know what I mean? Like, they did dive into multiple different areas in things in Forza, and they kind of just went, okay, if we really want this game to do great, we can see what people didn't like in this, we can see what people didn't like in this game, we can see what they liked, and I feel like they kind of grab things from each game in a way, and they're really aiming at making one of the craziest Forza games basically ever. And to be honest, I'm madly excited for it, dude. And you know what, though? The craziest part is, even with all of these signs and everything that is being shown, a lot of fans will still be cautiously optimistic. And you know what's funny? Honestly, it kind of makes sense, dude. You know why, though? Because modern game launches, man, have just trained people to be careful, bro. It makes a lot of people worried about everything that they see now. And that's something I want to dive into the next video.